Hi friends! Hello! As you can see, our overlay is somewhat messed up. Because Devin is juggling a fire alarm problem, so you're gonna see me fix it in real time as I toggle everyone's overlays. But other than that, how are we doing? Hey guys, so great to see you all. Episode 2, woo! Episode 2! Get psyched, get pumped. Devin is going to be a black and blue stripe right now, but they will be back, we promise. But without delaying the stream any further, let's get started with announcements and introductions and all that. So as you may or may not know, my name is Connie. My pronouns are they, he, and she. I am the GM and the executive producer behind Transplanar RPG, woot woot. As a person, I'm interested in horror, screenwriting, improv, monstrosity, snails, and myth making. You can find me on Twitter at by Connie Chang. And you can find me on Twitch and Tumblr at DandDaddyIssues. I'm gonna now pass along introductions to dearest Erica, to my bottom right.
Hello. Hello all, my name is Erica, she, her. You can catch me stramming here on Twitch or other social media at Erica New Girl. And I am playing V. Nocturzo, the mischievous high elf sorceress. And I will pass it on, keep the flow going, over to Max.
Hello, I'm actually with them pronouns. I play the Aarakocra Ranger Dewey Park, and you can find me on Instagram at Starchmonger. And that's basically all I'm on right now. I'll pass it to C.
Cool. Hi there, my name is C. I use gender-neutral pronouns like they, them, or ze, them, and I play Okahai. You can find me on Tumblr at pi-sharp, and Twitter at pi-sharp-art. And I made the art for this campaign.
Woo! Woo! Let's get a woot in the chat. What were you saying, C?
Oh, nothing.
Okay. Oh my gosh! Is Devin back?
Devin!
Everyone
Hello?
got shifted around!
Devin!
Hello, Devin, we're live right now. And now
Oh my
Erica is
god,
Max.
I'm so
Max
sorry.
Is C. No worries. C is Devin, and Devin is
Max.
Erica. So y'all are gonna witness some tech wizardry right now as I move everyone to where they're supposed to be. So hang tight.
Can we actually go to a BRB screen real quick?
It's
Because
gonna
Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah, all
music
right.
was real loud.
Okay, we'll be right back. And we're back. Hello. The
Hello.
overlay should be fixed, I'm pretty sure. It's much faster to fix it in real time rather than in studio mode because the borders disappear in studio mode for some reason. So you might see my mouse popping around there every now and then. But let's get right back into our introductions. Let's not waste any more time. It's already 3:14, but what is a Twitch stream without some technical difficulties? Who was last to introduce?
Me, but it's Devin's turn now.
Devin, introduce yourself.
Wow. Hello everyone, my name's Devin. I use they, them pronouns. I'm a freelance Japanese translator and musician, and I'm playing Manaia Waidua, who is a 7.5 foot tall half-orc fighter who likes sailing.
Great. Awesome. And with that, I think that's everyone who has already been introduced, which means that I'm going to move on to announcements really quick. We're just going to bang these out. So before we hop into the rest of what we have to say, we here at Transplanar RPG just want to take a moment to say fuck Wizards of the Coast. If you don't know what's been going on with Wizards of the Coast and Dungeons & Dragons, I highly encourage you to look up Orion Black's statement, Lawrence Harmon's statement, Zaim Beg's statement, and the countless statements against Mike Murrell's. Many are calling for a total boycott of Wizards products, including a complete divestment from Dungeons & Dragons as a game and system, meaning boycotting streams, boycotting podcasts, and we know that obviously we're a Dungeons & Dragons stream, so we wanted to say something about this. We understand and we empathize strongly with these sentiments, and our position is summarized as follows. Fuck Wizards of the Coast. We are continuing our 5th edition livestream with the intention of rewriting/writing out the deeply ingrained white cis male power fantasy tropes and claiming a space for ourselves and our stories as marginalized people to be represented in D&D. We are playing in a completely homebrew world that has never been, and will never be colonized. Our world draws upon Asian/Pacific Islander histories, specifically Chinese, Japanese, Mongolian, Indian, Russian, and Hawaiian histories, and grounds our perspectives in these cultures as opposed to the typical Western European narratives that prioritize and idolize war and conquest. We have changed a myriad of rules to fit our needs and desires, and will continue to change official quote-unquote rules in search of a system that is in alignment with our moral codes. We will not be playing D&D forever, but while we do play D&D, you can rest assured knowing that we are not playing by their rules. For a fuller statement that encapsulates all of our views, you can use the command !WOTC in chat. This statement is also available on our Twitter at Transplanar RPG, and we offer this information in hopes of maintaining transparency around our ethics and why we're continuing to play D&D amidst all of the allegations that have come forward. So, moving forward from this, in less heavy news, as a reminder, we play our main campaign every other Saturday, so episode 3 is going to come out Saturday, July 25th at 3 p.m. CDT on Twitch. We are also excited to debut a brand new series under the Transplanar RPG banner called Professor Chong's Tabletop Workshop, where yours truly will discuss a variety of topics related to our campaign and running D&D in general, such as my approach to world building, homebrewing, making NPCs, planning sessions, and much, much more. We are excited to kick off Professor Chong with a special 5-part lecture series discussing the culture, history, peoples, and philosophies behind Andake called Andake Understood. Part 1 debuts this coming Monday, July 13th. Part 2 is Tuesday, Part 3 is Wednesday, Part 4 is Thursday, Part 5 is Friday. Each lecture is going to start at 5 p.m., not 3, 5 p.m. Central, and will run for about an hour. And after this 5-part marathon this coming week, Professor Chong's Tabletop Workshop will run every other Saturday on the off weeks that we don't have our main campaign at 3 p.m. Central, so you don't want to miss out. This will also help us hit affiliate, because we need to reach those goals. This is our not-so-subtle way of doing that. Great, so let's move on to an acknowledgement of donors by C.
Cool. Before we begin, we would like to thank and acknowledge everyone who donated last session. Thank you so much to Rytel, Orovera, Lurker3, Phasman91, Gabe2, Gwentigon, 666, Sheldon Genki, and my queer farmer dads for your overwhelming generosity and support. Your donations have been reinvested in the betterment of this stream, so it's a win-win for everyone. And speaking of donations, you all might have noticed that there are some new features on our overlay. We are debuting a reward system for giving in this here episode 2 of Transplanar, which means that for every $25 we receive collectively, a star will light up on the overlay. Hooray, gold stars for everyone, right? This also means that the party will receive 1 point of collective inspiration per star that can be spent by anyone in the group, including the DM. If we reach our session goal of $200, or 8 stars, 1 for each of the 8 gods of Andake, the constellation will become complete, and the grand prize will be unlocked. This week, the grand prize is activating a player-related backstory B plot. If the constellation is completed, Connie will roll a d4, and whoever's name comes up will have their B plot activated as soon as possible. If we don't reach our goal of $200 this session, the counter will reset for episode 3, but the party will keep any and all collective inspiration that isn't spent. This is a beta system that we're trying, so donation goals, effects, prizes, and the like might change in the coming episodes, but we thought it might be a fun way to interact with you, our dear audience, while we work towards being affiliate.
Great, thank you so much for that, Z. And now let's bring things over to Devin, who will talk a little bit about the title of this episode.
Yeah, so the title of this episode, which is, quote, "My hands were daylight all throughout the night," unquote, is from the poem Notebook Fragments, by Ocean Vuong, who is the author who we also drew inspiration from for the last episode.
And now, finally, the meatiest portion. Let's run right through it. Erica, why don't you recap what happened last session for those who are hopping in right now?
Indeed. Last time, 4 strangers, Manaia, Oka, Dewey, and V, each seek out Dalapathi Saeed, a retired adventurer, for their own unique reasons. After arriving at Fireroot Farm on Adalin, our world's New Year's Eve festival, our adventurers meet Cathor, Dalapathi's husband, who reveals that Dalapathi has been kidnapped. Our heroes decide to rescue him, and after following his tracks through a series of puzzles like a narcissistic talking cat and a laughing dragon carving, they find themselves in a room with a mysterious organization called the Copper Stewards that is currently threatening Dal. It quickly becomes apparent that the Copper Stewards are simply seeking an experienced doula to help a pregnant dragonborn woman give birth, and our heroes decide to help. That is, until the wall of the cavern blows up, revealing eldritch monsters that attack our party. After dispatching these foes, the party sees that the stars, now visible from the gaping hole in the wall, have disappeared, and the baby was born in the ruckus. And this is where we last left our heroes.
Thank you so much for that lovely recap, Erica. What is going to happen next? Let's find out right now. Before we get started, one last thing. Oh, we already have 1 point of collective inspiration. We've hit over $25. That means a golden star is activated, and 1 collective inspiration has been granted to the party and to me. These black stars that you see on C and Max's overlay are their individual inspirations. Each player I've house ruled can have up to 3 points of individual inspiration. So let's get started and let's dive right into it. Let's settle in and let me paint you a word picture. A crone drinking storm. The miasma of static. 3 heads, bleeding power. She is become war. Creator, protector, destroyer of worlds. When Liu Bai pours himself a cold glass of properly hoppy Lung Ye beer after a long, hard day of work harvesting in preparation for the Bear's End celebrations later that night, he has no idea that the world is going to end. The humble halfling farmer props his feet up on a wooden stool and gazes out over his many tilled acres of farmland, the scarf that his husband knitted him last Adalin wrapped snugly over his chapped face, breathing in the fine scent of Morosan handiwork. But as Liu Bai lifts his glass to his chapped lips, the sky changes. One by one, the stars wink out above his head, vanishing in systematic lines across the sky from north to south. Liu Bai stares, slack-jawed, the beer sizzling in his mouth, as even the constellation of Mengshen Zhidi, the god of knowledge and dreams that all Tulongans venerate, including him, winks out in an instant. And Liu Bai's farm is plunged into darkness. And then comes the earthquake. And then comes the snapping. In the championship of Nabal, people scream and run as the monumental towers of Rasso tremble and crack from the strain of the quaking. 2,000 feet of sandstone, marble, and brick threatening to collapse and spell ruin for the people in the nation's capital. In the court of ravens, earls and barons in their feather-dappled robes panic as the swamp around their temples trembles and then inexplicably boils, steam rising in the dead of the winter night, scorching the fish and frogs within its waters alive, the smell of churning, burning flesh and death rising to the starless sky. In the commune of Morose, elders are hastily helped out of their shanties as the perennially frozen Zima Lake groans underneath their feet, the surface of the ice cracking and splitting, vents of hot steam erupting out of nowhere from the violent fissures splitting open the permafrost. In the kingdom of Uhanahi, Moe Atua trembles and roars, this volcano which has been dormant for over 1,000 years, screaming back to life to the sudden horror of the people living at its base, plumes of black ash spitting into the air, accompanied not by jets of lava or molten rock, but by hailstones the size of coconuts. And in the clans of Kirtal, the open, rolling fields of grass begin to undulate. like storm-tossed waves upon the ocean, throwing up, grazing horses and elk onto their sides, rocking yurts off their stilts, whipping up sandstorms the size of cities among the storied dunes of the Tanushlek Desert. In the united tribes of Jukai, trees splinter and crack down to their tangled root systems, crashing onto the ground. Boom, boom, boom. Animals and people alike screaming and fleeing their interconnected settlements of mud, brick, and stone as catastrophe rains down all around them. And finally, in the Republic of Talmud, Oka, Manaia, V, and Dewey. The four of you stand in the middle of the ruined birthing chamber. Plumes of crimson pebbles spilling onto the marbled floor in radiant columns of dust. Cracks are spiderwebbed across the vaulted dirt-red ceiling, a testament to the power of the earthquake or whatever the hell it was that hit you a mere handful of minutes ago. Remember, this earthquake was accompanied by a horrific, inexplicable snapping noise that was everywhere and nowhere at once. It sounded like a dragon's heart exploding, or like the strings of the universe being gutted with box cutters. Oka, you specifically stand at the edge of the crumbled wall of the butte. The wintry night air buffeting your stone-gray cheeks. Your twin pupils scan this sprawling expanse of darkness, but come up empty. The stars, once so numerous and bright that nighttime travel in Andake is not only safe but advisable, the stars are gone. There is only darkness, okay? There is only the empty. And of course, the screaming. The faraway noise of people being killed in the worst ways imaginable, and the inevitable reason. The gut-wrenching snarling, howling, hissing, and hooting of strange creatures in the distance, noises that you, in your many years of hunting monsters, you have never heard before. Manaia, Dewey, and V, the three of you stand blood-wreathed, astride the raised stone dais, where just moments ago, a copper dragonborn woman was giving birth in a bathtub full of water. Thanks to Dewey's efforts, that bathtub is now halfway between the dais and the entryway that you and your companions came in from. The remnants of the monsters that attacked you lie scattered on the ground. A pool of fetid, pulsing flesh is all that remains of the chain-wrapped monstrosity, and the charred bodies of those hairless, two-legged, dog-sized monsters lie next to it. The dragonborn woman holds her newborn baby in her arms. She is surrounded by her 5 companions: a human with a shaved head, a firbolg wearing simple robes, a kenku boy, a halfling girl, and finally, that muscular half-elf woman with short brown hair and plain but striking features. This half-elf woman, this High Steward, as you heard her being referred to, regards your party with a mixture of suspicion and reluctant gratitude. The High Steward stands guardedly in front of the bastard of the hour, Dalapathi Saeed. Ah, yes, Dalapathi Saeed. That pink-skinned tiefling with pure blue eyes, corkscrew horns, and a well-manicured goatee. He nervously dusts off his overalls and inclines his chin at your party in thanks, presumably for saving his and everyone else's skins from those monsters. And now that the scene is set, what do you do?
Oka's gonna continue to stare into the night sky.
Okay.
Waiting for the stars to come back.
Okay. Oka, as you stare at the night sky, why don't you roll nature? Roll nature for me as you're looking out into the expanse. What about the rest of you? Oka, what did you get?
V is...
Oh, hold on there just for a moment, V. Okay.
A handsome 6.
A handsome 6. I'll resolve that in a minute. V, what do you do?
I'm going to go to the half-elf And I guess I want to roll insight, I guess. And just like see how I want to see if I can read her body language about what's going on at all.
Sure, like
while
her reaction
also just
to everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why don't we roll insight just to read her body language? Dewey?
I want to make sure that the baby. I want to go look at the baby and take care of it.
You're concerned with the baby. Okay, Dewey, you stride forward toward the baby. And Manaia, what do you do?
Yeah, so at the end of the last session, Manaia asked how the children were, just in general, specifically how the baby was. But she's going to, seeing that the newborn is in good hands, go to the halfling and the
Kenku
child and make sure they're doing okay.
Okay, so Manaia and Dewey are gonna interact with this strange group of people, but I'm gonna resolve in reverse order. So, Oka, with your gentleman's 6, you're not exactly sure what the hell is happening. You do know that stars are supposed to be there, and there was nary a cloud in the sky when you first entered the butte. So it would be very odd for extremely dense clouds to cover the stars at this point. The more likely explanation is that they're just gone, which also doesn't make sense. And as you're looking out over this black expanse with your 6 nature roll, you sort of recall the shaking that happened earlier, and that felt very much like an earthquake. It's very similar to how earthquakes happen. It was very brief but very intense. It sort of loosed stones from the ceiling and it sent you off flying. And now, what did you get for your insight roll?
19.
19! Okay.
Ooh, hello!
Nice! Yeah, let's get a woot in the chat for that 19.
Almost a nat 20.
We're close, but no cigar. You sort of, you cock your head to the side and you squint at this high steward, and you can see that there is, like, conflicting feelings are roiling across her body. She's guarded, first of all. She's suspicious, is probably the biggest one. She's suspicious of your party, and based on how she's, like, looking at Oka, staring at, she's looking at the night sky past Oka, and she's also looking at your group, like, her eyes are flicking and darting between the two. It seems that maybe she thinks your group is the cause of what is happening. Like, there's suspicion, there's paranoia in her eyes based on that. And she is also, there's a part of her that's joyous, because she's looking at you, she's like guarding Doll, and then she's like holding her arms out to receive this newborn baby in her arms. And as she receives this newborn baby from the dragonborn woman, Dewey, you step forward, and as you do, this shaved head human person sort of steps between you and the baby and everyone else, and they just sort of look at you with a very stern face and they cross their arms. Dewey, are you injured from the fight?
Yes.
Okay, this person doesn't say anything, but they hold out a hand and they move as if to touch your wound. Where you have like where the tooth lodged into your shoulder, right? Unless I'm mistaken. You have that gaping wound in your shoulder. They move out as if to touch your wound. Do you do anything?
I look at him confused, but I don't move.
Okay, their hand rests upon your shoulder and they sort of close their eyes, and you feel something familiar, which is healing magic begin to seep into your wounds. But before you roll to see how much you heal, the magic suddenly dissipates, right? It's like violin strings being cut. Like the weave that was powering this magic snaps, and this person actually lets out like and they let go of your shoulder and they sort of take a few steps back, and they try again. But nothing happens. They try again, but nothing happens. And the Firbolg looks over and says, Joji, what's wrong? And Joji, this human person, goes a little pale, right? They lower their hand, and they use sign language, and they gesture back at this Firbolg. Do any of you know sign language? I know it's not like a formal language, but if you can sort of justify it through your backstory, I'd allow it. Probably not, right? Okay, that's fine. None of you really know what this human person is saying. But then this Firbolg goes, what? High Steward Tamba. And the half-elf goes, I know. This isn't good. Jochi, are you sure? And this human person just nods. And then turns and suddenly runs toward the overturned altar. And starts frantically digging through this altar that was sort of busted open when the wall broke in and the monsters attacked. And the Kenku boy hops over and starts helping them out. They both look really frantic. And then Manaia, you were trying to talk to the Kenku and the halfling, right? The Kenku just sort of runs by you to accompany the human to the shrine. The halfling girl looks up and says, What's going on? What did the four of you do to us? Why can't Jochi feel our god?
Feel your god, Oka says.
Yes, Jochi is our cleric. They heal us when we're injured. They just said that they couldn't feel Nectus anymore.
You have to be joking. How dare you?
What?
V is going to try to cast a cantrip like a ray of frost, ray of frost, just straight up in the air.
Okay.
Just to see if she still has magic.
Okay. You fling your palm open and you cast Ray of Frost, and it comes out. Yeah, because you don't get your magic right from a god.
Correct.
Mm-hmm. So it comes out, and just this beam of frost just shoots into the air and disperses like fireworks. Little bits of snowflakes raining down on everyone. And this high steward, this half-elf woman says, I won't make Haipu ask again. What did the four of you do to us?
Manaia was going to bend down and talk to this halfling.
Okay.
At this, she's at a loss for words, but at this comment, she stands up and says, "We saved you."
You call this salvation? And this high steward...
I call it not getting eaten by whatever that was.
You think you talk big words for a big woman, but size isn't everything. And this high steward strides up to you. She's significantly shorter than you, Manaia, because you're 7'6". She's 6 feet tall, but you're still a foot and a half taller than her. But she starts to as if she wants to fight you, starts to move forward. She still has her baby in her arms. But as she begins to move forward, this dragonborn woman throws out a copper claw and stops the high steward from moving forward, and she goes, "Honey, please. Thank you. I don't think that the four of you are responsible for this. I
have an idea about who might be responsible.
Oka. Now is not the time.
No, I think it is the time.
No.
You.
For once, I agree with Manaia.
You deign to provoke the ire of the eight willingly? The gods already deign to turn their backs at us at will, and yet you sacrilege to one god and not the other? How dare you? This is your fault, not ours.
The Firbolg just sort of mutters under his breath, common words from common folk. And the dragonborn woman goes, please, everyone, let's just... I understand why you might be upset. It is unusual, and we recognize this, to worship one of the lovers over the other. But we do this not to draw the ire of the gods, but to venerate their true history. Please, honey, let me... We are the Copper Stewards. We belong to the Stewards of the Metallic Order, which is the greater siblinghood that we owe our fealty to. My name is Najwa. I am one of the stewards of the Copper Order under the Metallic. The purpose of our order is we dedicate our lives to protecting the last of the dragons.
The last of the dragons. Is this a fucking joke?
V
dragon?
is gonna laugh out loud at this.
Yes, we know that commoners, as we call those who aren't part of the order, can't wrap your minds around the truth that dragons are still out there, but it's true. Dragons are still out there. In fact, we venerate the last of her kind, Amarai the Copper, the last copper dragon in existence. And, of course, the reason why we only worship Nectus instead of Nectus and he who shall not be named, is because, of course, Nectus created the metallic dragons. Skad, this person who shall not be named, created the chromatic dragons, and you might be aware of some acrimonious history between our two sects, which is why we worship Nectus and not the other.
V's gonna laugh again and be like, look, friends, you can believe what you want. This is free country, but this is free world. But personally, anyone I know who believes in dragons has proven to be a little bit not trustworthy when it comes to telling the truth, which is saying a lot coming from me, let me tell you, first of all. And second of all, I don't believe in any gods, so I find this to be utterly ridiculous. I personally would just like to get paid and get out of here and let you all do what you do in weird rooms in buttes.
Okay, you've said your piece, V. What about the rest of you?
Dewey's trying to get in a word like, can I see the factual evidence on the existence of dragons, please, before we go any further? But no one's listening to him.
Okay, no, people listen to you. This Dragonborn woman Najwa says, yes, none of us have actually seen Amarai, except Tamba, our leader, and my wife. And Tamba goes, she sort of backs down from Manaia, sort of gives you a once over, and holding her baby, she sort of backtracks and says, I've seen Amarai.
Yeah, and I'm a princess.
Can you elaborate on that?
What was that, Dewey?
Yeah.
Could you elaborate on that?
Princess.
No, not the princess part.
Amarai only consorts with the High Steward, and I am the High Steward. Any truth spells that have been cast upon me remain true when I say I have seen Amarai the Copper.
Yeah, and I can eat a bunch of mushrooms and see Amarai the Copper myself.
Amarai the Copper!
I'm sure.
Look,
well, all of this aside,
whether or
you can
not
see whatever mirages you want to, but we have a bigger problem, which is that the stars are gone and they are not coming back. So what the hell do you think that you were doing in here? What have you done?
What have we done? We were trying to assure and ensure the safe birth of my firstborn. Thank you very much. I'm sure any expectant mother would want safe conditions for the birth of their child, would they not? Which is where this piece of crap comes in. She turns around and looks at Dal, who is this entire time has been sneaking toward the door, right? And he's like halfway out the door, when he goes, and his tail shoots up, and he turns around and says, "Oh, darling," and Tamba goes, "Don't darling me," and the Fearbog sort of gestures for Dal to come back, and Dal sort of shoulders slump, and he comes back and he says, "Yes, my position in all of this is just a big misunderstanding, I assure you. These fine folk believed that I was an experienced doula, as many of my, let's say, tales of adventure claim. Somewhat inaccurately," and he sort of turns around and does "Oh, silly me, my bad."
I like you already, doll.
Thank you, I like you too. Now, if you don't mind, I have my husband to get back to and a dinner party.
Speaking of that, We would love to stay and meet the baby and all, but I don't think we are quite welcome yet. I would love to help you move the dais back if you'd have me, but we really should be getting back, doll. I have a thing for you.
A thing for me? Oh, yes! The reason why the four of you are here. You were looking for me for a particular reason, yes?
Yes, but I don't believe what we have for you is to be given in, and I mean this in the lightest way possible, mixed company. Manaia glances at the children.
Okay. Najwa, the dragonborn woman, she slowly clambers out of this tub. She's like, aching, so like the Fjordbolg, the human, help her, and she goes, "Wait, before the four of you leave, I know you might think of us as blasphemers," gestures toward Oka, "strange, kooky folk," gestures toward Dewey, "out of our mind," gestures toward V, and just plain weird, gestures toward Manaia. But we, the Copper Stewards, we're not evil. We're not a cult. We're not bad people. We say thank you to those who help us, don't we, darling? And Tama goes, yes. Yes, we do, honey. Which is why, Haipu, do you mind grabbing some of the Nectus tokens in my bedroom? And the halfling girl goes, really? For them? Yes, just 20 or so. Okay, if you say so, steward. And the halfling girl skitters out of the room, and she returns in a few brief moments with a sack, a bulging sack full of presumably coins or tokens, and she hands it out to your party. And Najwa goes, "This is a gesture of our gratitude, and so you might not think less of us because of this." Is anyone gonna take the sack?
I'm going to take the sack.
Okay, you take the sack.
Manaia's going to take the sack before V can get to it, specifically.
Okay. You take the sack.
And I hold it in my hands, and I say, "Your generosity is very much appreciated, but we could not take from a new mother."
"Oh, no, please. Amarai the Copper provides. And she asks that we pay that kindness forward. In that satchel are 20 what we call Nectus tokens. Why don't you pull one out and see what it looks like?"
Yeah, so Manaia isn't deaf. She heard what Oka was saying earlier with the bad luck and everything. So she's gonna open the sack, pull it open, but she's not gonna take one out.
Okay, you open it and you see inside 20 coins, maybe? They all seem to have a coppery sheen. And you see, because they're all sort of thrown together, some of them seem to have a blank face on one side, and the others show that the other side has an etching of a set of bagpipes. And Najwa says, essentially, if you're feeling in need of luck, you flip a token into the sky, and you give a prayer to Nectus, and she may answer it. What this means mechanically is whenever you make an attack roll, ability check, or saving throw, a player can toss a coin in the air and declare a number between 1 and 20. If the declared number is the actual number rolled, the roll counts as a critical hit, no matter what. If it does not, the number rolled is treated as normal, and the token will vanish after being used. It's some loot, in metagaming terms. Yeah, go ahead.
In that case, Manaia is going to put the satchel in one of her many large pockets on the inside of her cloak, glancing very, very briefly at V, and say, "Now, doll, before you leave, I have something for you, but we really should be getting this dais back. I'm sorry about the altar."
Of course. I'm just a little keen on getting back to Cathor.
I hesitate to let you go on your own, considering Oka gestures to themselves, covered in pus and blood.
Uh-huh.
Oh, yeah. Manaia is also at 1 HP.
Yeah, y'all are fucked up. Yes, perhaps I do want to get back, but perhaps a rest is in order after we help these fine folk move move this dais back into place. And Tamba goes, I see you're capable of making considerate actions when provoked. Very well. Usually, we would not let outsiders, commoners, who know of our secret go so easily, but I think my wife has other intentions, and I will respect her intentions. So are the four of you gonna use maybe, like, a short rest to help, like, put the room back together and, like, get ready to go?
Hell no!
No? Okay, yeah, what do you want to do, Oka?
Oka's not gonna help.
Okay.
But they-
Okay, you're just gonna sit in a corner and, sulk?
yeah.
Okay. And don't forget,
Uh,
you can use this time to talk to Dull, because you all came here looking for him for a reason, right? This would be a nice time to talk to him and find out really what is going on and get to the bottom of it. Manaia, did you want to say something?
Yeah, I'm not sure if this would negate the benefits of a short rest, but she is definitely going to help carry the dais back, which is some pretty, like, not intense manual labor, but, like, I don't know how much that would count for resting.
I'll allow it. I don't think it'll take very long.
Okay.
I won't even, like, make you make a check to do that. I think everyone working together is able to, like, sort of restore the dais to its proper place and, like, bring the bathtub back into, like, the previous room. Just, like, sort of, like, maybe push some boulders in front of, like, where, like, the hole is to, like, prevent the draft from coming in and monsters from attacking again, you know, like, stuff like that. So that's how you spend the short rest, Manaia. Dewey and V, how are you spending your short rest?
Oh, I will mention that Manaia is not going to touch the altar. She's leaving that to everyone else. Yeah.
To the Copper Stewards. Sounds good. Yeah, most of the stewards go to the altar, they start, like, painstakingly putting the offerings back, you know, and, like, rehabilitating their destroyed life, let's say. Oka, you're gonna sort of stew. What about the two of you?
I want to.
V is going to. How do I? Gently, very gently, in a very sweet tone, just be like, you know, these tokens. What is their market value? Because I remember hearing a conversation that 5,000 gold pieces was our agreed upon terms and conditions here.
Who are you talking to?
I'll talk to
Tamba? Okay. Tamba, let's say,
Tamba,
is in
yeah.
the middle of moving the dais when you go up to her and ask if she sort of plunks it down, turns to you and says, 5,000? I lied. That's your reward.
Don't think I won't forget this. And then I'm going to go over to Doll.
Okay. Dahl sort of also sulking with Oka, let's say, sort of nursing his wounded pride. What about you, Dewey?
Yeah, I want to get to Doll as soon as possible.
Okay. When all of you sort of finish doing your tasks, you have some time to chat with Dahl before you set out. And as all of you sort of walk up to him, he goes, "Oh, hello, my rescuers, my heroes." He looks a little nervous. What did you need your old friend Dahl for?
We're taking you back to your farm.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate the escort is much appreciated. I was going to ask for one, but I appreciate the offer.
And then right after he says that, I'm going to cast message to speak directly into the doll's mind and say, I've come to discuss the vaults of Benoit with you.
Oh, that must be you. Sorry, for those who didn't hear, V said, I've come to discuss the Vault of Benoit with you. Yes, about that, and about any other reasons you might be looking at me for. And Del sort of pauses and looks at you, Dewey. Why are you looking for me? That's a nice watch.
Do you know anything about... Can I speak to you privately?
Okay, I gotta come clean. Dalapathi Saeed is my name, but I'm not a famous adventurer. I'm a bard. That's the one thing I'm good at. I'm good at spreading rumors about how good I am. Kothor and I, please don't tell anyone, we're sort of in on this together. We try not to scam poor people. Everyone who's here for our Adolin party is a rich, stupid noble from Solmanad. We're gonna take their money. But I can assure you, and this is to thank you for escorting me back home and rescuing us from those monsters, that these stories are true. They're just not based on me. They're based on someone else. I actually spoke to them. I ran into them a couple years ago when I was scoping out the Euclidean Chasm, out east, for creative inspiration. I thought maybe I'd paint it or something, and I ran into this person after a pack of wild hyenas attacked me, and they saved me. They took me back to their homestead, and they nursed me back to health. I had a nasty hyena bite, and they showed me their inventions, and they showed me their collection of magical items. They would spar sometimes out back. They're very, I listened to their stories of what they'd done, and I was surprised that they had not decided to claim fame. So I decided, well, if these stories aren't being put to use by this person, I might as well use them. If you're looking for the real Dalapathi Saeed, you want to look for this person instead. Their name is Dr. Hitsaguten Oluso.
Do you have contact information for them?
I know where they live. They're very reclusive. Yeah. They're a little, how do I put it, eccentric? They live
not
near...
Like yourself.
Not eccentric like me. I think they're eccentric, and I'm an eccentric person. They live by the Euclidean Chasm, which, if you, hug the god spine, it'll probably be anywhere from 40 to 50 days travel to get there.
That's only if you're slow about it.
That's true, only if you're slow. So you essentially have two routes. And me, Connie, I'm gonna switch to an overlay where I have the map laid out for the audience to see. Okay, so this is a map of Andake, the world, right? Exciting, yay, now you have a sense of where everything is. So Dal says, well, I think you have two routes, so let's zoom in on where we are right now, which is Talmud. That little stretch of water is the boundary waters, that saltwater inlet. The court is to the left, Talmud is where you are, that X is the capital, but we'll get to that later. So Dal says, this is where you are. You're sort of there in that little, northern part of Talmud. We're overlooking the boundary waters. This is where Dr. Oluso's homestead is. Now, in my opinion, you have two ways of getting there. You can go over the god spine, which will take you probably 40 days, which is an Andake month. A month is 40 days here. Or you can go the southern route, and that will take you maybe 50 to 60 days. These are both of the routes laid out. There are pros and cons to each route. The northern route is faster but more dangerous because you'll be traveling through the Badlands, right? The southern route is a little slower but safer. You'll be taking the Heavenly Road, which is the Andake equivalent of like the Silk Road. It's like a big trade route. You'll be taking the Heavenly Road if you take the southern route, but you will have to pass through the god spine twice. Once to actually get into southern Talmud, and then once again you have to cross it again to get to Dr. Oluso's homestead. So that will lengthen travel, and you'll have to find a suitable place to pass, because you don't want to pass the god spine not at a legitimate pass. That's basically asking to be eaten by monsters. Any questions? Oh. Sorry. Yes, go ahead. I glitched out a little bit. Why don't you tell me what you're going to say, Oka?
Do you think they would know something about what's going on?
If anyone on Andake knows what's going on, it's Dr. Oluso. I'm not lying. I'm really not exaggerating here. That guy / girl, they're very, they know their shit.
If this is another goose chase, I'm gonna come back here, and I'm not even gonna tell you what I'm gonna do to you. Do you understand?
Understood.
And I'm going to come with them.
Okay. What about the two of you?
Consider me part of this threat as well. I don't look like much, but he trails off.
You'll peck me to death? Sorry, I couldn't resist. And you, big lady?
be rest assured, we won't kill you. Your husband would not be happy.
Yes, no, he wouldn't be. Kothor is much more stand-up than me. He's a much better guy.
But there are
Speaking of
things worse
Kothor.
than death.
Speaking of Kothor, we really should get going.
Yes, we need to get back to my beloved. And I would usually initiate a break around there because it's been an hour, but because we kind of started late, I'd be okay with continuing on. I'm sorry to everyone, this might run past, we were trying to aim for 2 hours for this one, but it might run closer to what we had last time, but a little shorter. Just so folks are aware of your schedule in case you have to tap out early, that's totally fine. VOD will be available on YouTube. Okay, so let's move right back on. Let's continue onward in the session. Yes, Devin/Manaia.
I did want to, as soon as we were from specifically children, talk to Dal about what I had for him.
Sounds good. So I think by the end of this conversation, the Copper Stewards, the children, have been ushered into the other room by the Firbolg and by the human, leaving only Najwa and Tamba in the birthing chamber, let's call it. And they're both, like, they're like standing by the tub, carrying their child, staring very suspiciously at the five of you to make sure you're not up to any, like, up to no good. But the children are gone. You can talk to Dal.
Okay.
Okay.
By the way, Dalapathi, was it?
Yes, Dalapathi Saeed.
Yes. Now that we're away from smaller ears, I have a message for you from a Miss Lahahana. Talked to a lady about this tall.
Oh yes, Lahahana, how is she? It's been years.
Oh, I'm sure it has. She's doing very well. She's actually my captain on her ship.
Oh, that's lovely.
On the Ruffled Turret. Shit, what was her message?
Well, Kothor kind of ripped it up and threw it into the fire.
Something to say as well. Oh, right. She wanted me to let you know that, well, she hopes you're doing well, of course, and, she misses your, skills. And I'm sorry to say, and we should probably step away just a little bit, and she motions distinctly away from V.
Okay. Oh, yes, of course.
I had a letter for you. It seemed like a banknote from Lahahana, from the captain. Unfortunately, your husband.
No, Kothor saw. Did Kothor see the letter?
Did
Kothor
no one else
read
will
it?
see it. I don't think he looked at it for long enough to read it.
What do you mean he looked at it?
Ripping it up and throwing it into the fire.
Oh no!
I am so sorry.
Oh god. Oh god. Oh, you Dalapathi saved me. Oh, okay. Alright, well, I need to get back. I need to explain myself to my husband. It was... Kothor, it was 20 years ago. Just... Let's hurry.
I agree.
Okay. Yeah, great. Okay, does anyone else have anything they'd like to talk to Dal about before we do a little travel montage? Back to Fireroot Farm? Okay, cool.
No.
Okay.
Are we taking, was this our short rest?
Yeah,
Should we
yeah.
the
You should
benefits
take
of
the
it?
benefits of a short rest. So, like, roll your dice, like, regain any spells you might be able to regain or features. While your party is doing that, Tamba and Najwa sort of see you off. They gesture for you to, they sort of equip you with, let's say, torches. Because the night is really, really dark. You can't, because of the brightness of Andake's stars, people on Andake, no one has dark vision. It just wasn't needed evolutionarily. So they give you torches, they give you a lantern, and they see you off. Tamba, with something of a threat in her voice, says, "Don't tell anyone about us. Got it? Especially you." Sort of looks at you, V.
I make no promises after I did not get paid.
We will hear of this if you do tell other people.
I'm
And
very
perhaps
good at
you will hear
disappearing.
from us.
That's fine, because you already know. But don't tell anyone else. And then Tamba sort of stops in front of you, Manaia, looks up at you and says, for some reason, I feel like I can trust you out of everyone here. Make sure word of the Copper Stewards doesn't get out. Can you promise me that? Sorry, I lagged for a bit. Manaia, did you respond?
Yeah. I'm actually gonna.
Oh no!
Oh no!
So I've just been like lagging so much. I wonder what's going on with my Discord. Let's try that one more time. Manaia, what did you say?
So Manaia puts her hand on her chest and she says, "By the fires and waves of Mahu, I give my word."
Thank you. I don't know why, but I almost feel like I know you. And then Tama looks at you kind of oddly, and then looks at her wife and says, "Let's go, honey. Safe travels, and don't let your lips flap." And they retreat back into the butte, and the four of you travel. So...
5.
Sorry, yeah, the 5 of you, including Dal. I forgot about him. So the 5 of you set out, beacons lit, torches aloft for Fireroot Farm. And on your way back, let's say it's really dark. This oppressive darkness sort of is like pushing in on you, and you can't see beyond what the light of your beacons is shedding. You can sort of see the path, you sort of like know the general direction, and Dal seems more familiar with this area than other people, than the rest of you, and is able to sort of like direct you correctly back to Fireroot Farm. But it's, the journey takes I think I said it was like an hour long last time. It's an hour long, maybe a little more like an hour and a half as you're carefully making your way through the darkness, and you can hear the hooting and hollering and screaming in the distance of strange monsters attacking people, presumably, and every now and then you hear what appears to be a very distant, low growling, sort of all-encompassing growling. Whenever the first time that happens, Dal stops and goes, "What the hells was that? Oh my, that almost sent my soul into the after." He just goes, I don't know what's going on. The stars are gone. Those monsters. Oh, I just need to get back to my husband. That's all I know. And the 4 of you keep going. Yes, Oka.
Can I use my Hunter's Bane to make an intelligence check to try to recall any information about anything that's going on with these monsters?
Yes, you can. Just in general intelligence check. I think this travel time is a good time for folks to try to recall information about what the hell is going on. So why don't all of you, the rest of you, roll nature. Okay, what did you get?
I rolled a 5 and a 1.
Oof.
Balls.
Yikes.
That's a 7 total.
7 total? Okay.
Bad dice.
All you know is that you've never seen these monsters before, and you've never heard of them before either. Which is unusual. You've at least kind of heard of a monster before. This is extremely unusual. But beyond that, you don't know. What did the rest of you get on your nature checks?
15.
15? Dewey?
I got a nat 20 plus 4.
Nat 20 plus 4!
Wow. Nice!
I haven't rolled anything higher than a fucking 7 today.
Oof. What about you, Manaia?
That's a 21.
21.
I don't know if Manaia would know much about nature in general.
Well, you're a sailor, right? Maybe, like, most of your nature knowledge is about the sea.
The sea and the winds, probably.
The sea and the winds, for sure. Yeah, let's go in order from lowest to highest. So V with a 15, that's commendable. The shaking felt like an earthquake. But it was a little... There's something a little strange about it. Earthquakes are usually, you know, like... This was a little too short and a little too intense, but also not quite intense enough to be an earthquake. It was like very odd. Something about it just doesn't sit right with you. As well as with a 15, you remember that snapping noise, but you don't know what to make of it. It felt like it was nowhere and everywhere at once. The closest thing it can get to is when you use message to send to someone else, and it's like in your head, it's like nowhere and everywhere at once. That's the closest, but that's not even quite it. Devin, with your 21, you know that this feels like an earthquake, but it was not. But you're not sure what it was. And the snapping noise to you, you know, like, based on how the winds blew when the snapping noise occurred, it's similar to how, like, when winds howl all around a ship, like, it's all-encompassing. That's kind of how encompassing the snapping noise was. And Dewey, not only was the earthquake unnatural and the snapping noise strange, but the snapping noise seemed to originate beyond the now. The now is Andake's term for the material plane. It seemed to originate from beyond the material plane, which is strange because unless you're attuned to the after or the beyond, which are the non-material planes in Andake, you wouldn't be able to sense these things. So this means that the snapping noise was, a conclusion you could draw from this is that the snapping noise was so loud or so, like, universe rending that it, like, cut through all of the planes. Is, like, one way to look at it. Okay. That's the information you get on your anxious travels back to Fire Root. And when you finally get back to the farm, let me paint you a word picture. You see that Fire Root Farm is a beacon of hope amidst a sea of darkness. The five of you see the light of the farmhouse on the flat horizon, many long minutes before you reach it, and Dal very briskly strides along the road, his blue eyes fixed upon his home, where he knows his husband is anxiously waiting. And by the time the five of you reach the farmhouse, somehow avoiding encounters with monsters through some marvelous twist of luck, and Manaia, the token seemed to burn a little in your pocket when no monsters attack. Dalapathi is already 10 paces ahead, the four of you, and he rushes past the various parked carriages and wagons that now, like, litter the farmhouse of Solmanad's nobility. He dashes up the porch, and he bursts in through the front door. And Cathor is in the sitting room, garbed in his denim apron, his japron, if you will, talking in these hushed, frightened tones with well-dressed guests obsessively looking out the windows at the starless sky beyond. You notice that a few furniture pieces are overturned, a few dishes are smashed across otherwise spotless floors, presumably from the earthquake that likewise shook the butte. And as soon as Cathor is visible, Dalapathi just runs right up to him and hugs him. Tears are sort of streaming down his face. And Cathor just holds on to Dal, and you hear Cathor say, sort of muffled against Dal's chest, I thought the worst happened. I thought maybe this time he really got hurt, or even worse, before his words are swallowed by the guests gasping at Dal's sudden and dramatic return, and then a swell of relieved voices and anxious chatter consumes the reunited couple as their visitors swarm around them. And as the four of you stand at the threshold, do you do anything?
Oka's gonna kind of turn away from the party and step down the porch and just kind of stand in the yard looking at the sky.
Okay.
I'm just gonna follow Oka.
Okay.
V's actually gonna follow suit, but, like, keep distance from Oka and Dewey.
Okay.
You said the party is trying to crowd around Cathor and Dalapathi here.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to try to get them away to let them have their moment. Be like, all right, let the lovely couple have their moment.
That's very sweet of you. As the rest of you hang back, Manaia, you stride forward and you sort of, like, muscle your way through. These Solmanad nobles step away, but they look a little affronted, maybe. But Cathor just sort of looks up at you, Dal sort of, like, holding Cathor from behind, like, hugging him. And Cathor goes, you did this, didn't you? You brought him back safe and sound.
I wasn't alone.
Cathor sort of leans and sees the rest of you sort of, like, awkwardly standing nearby. Says, thank you. Thank you for bringing Dal back safe.
Let's have a good party, as much as we can, and talk later?
Yes. If you ever need a place to crash, Fireroot Farm is home. I assume the rest of you are probably pretty nervous to get back to where you're from or go on to the next leg of your journey. Do any of you know what the hell is happening? We got hit by an earthquake or something, and then the stars went out. And there's all this growling. Does anyone know what Dal, do you know what's going on? And the guests go, oh yes, if anyone knows what's going on, it's Dal. And they all like turn to Dal, and Dal goes, well, the true beginning of the story begins 4 years ago. I was making my way down the heavenly road, and he just sort of like starts going on a story, and all the guests turn and start to listen to him. Spin bullshit, let's say. Cool. So, what is the plan for the rest of y'all? What are you gonna do?
I would like to pickpocket some rich folks.
Oh my god.
Okay.
At least one.
Okay.
Mahu.
The first roll perception to find a target. Let's see. The higher the roll, the better the target I will provide you in terms of the most successful. What about the rest of you? Are you pretty eager to, get on, or are you gonna like take it easy first?
Dewey is
Well,
not comfortable in social situations.
Okay.
Nor is Oka.
Okay.
Oka's far more comfortable standing guard outside, which is what they're going to do until everyone else is ready to leave, which might end up being the morning, if we're smart about this.
Okay. Manaia?
Dewey, are you also outside?
Yes.
Manaia's gonna come out to you two.
Okay.
You're leaving V alone?
Horrible idea, but we can leave the.
I mean, they're rich. They can spare whatever coins they have in their pocket. Like, whatever.
I mean, yeah, they are rich people. Dalapathi pretty much admitted so. Okay, so let's say how we can resolve the rest of this night is Oka, Dewey, and Manaia, you maybe like camp outside the farm, right? Or like you're standing guard. What's the play for the rest of the night here?
But I was gonna come out initially to try to console Oka and Dewey, make sure they're doing all right.
Yeah, we can. Okay.
But I think the long-term goal is to sort of get this party back going, basically, make sure it goes well, and then reconvene with Dal and Kothor later. Probably stay the night here.
Okay. Sounds good. So let's do V first. V, what did you roll on your perception?
11.
11. You find, let's see. You spot another Aarakocra in the crowd. This one is much taller and more intimidating than Dewey. Sort of like a tawny eagle-like Aarakocra with these like sharp, like red eyes. And she's sort of like a tawny brown color, but has like streaks of like crimson feathers in her plumage. And you see, she stands out to you because you see a huge bulging pouch sort of like dangling from her waist. She has like these like very nice sashes on. She has like an eye patch over one eye. And she is talking, like, Dal is like telling his story, but other nobles are sort of like milling around, eating like plates of food that have been like put out. She's talking with a lizard folk man who is has a big belly and is wearing like a very nice Western style suit, which is a little unusual to see.
I would like to first off, like, before I like enter the house and stuff, I'm gonna cast Disguise Self.
Okay.
And make myself look like a noble woman. Very nicely dressed, maybe hair quite nicely done in sort of an elaborate sort of updo sort of style. Look, you just like the type of person who might stop a woman when she enters.
Okay.
And then I would like to go to this Aarakocra woman and be like, darling, oh my goodness, I was admiring your your feathers are just, they have such a beautiful shine, and like I want to like get like a little touchy-feely, and while admiring her, I want to try to rob her.
Okay.
Using, sleight of hand.
Okay. As you admire her, she goes, "What? Do I know you?"
I don't know you. I don't know you either. I don't. I just walked into a room and I see this gorgeous.
You see me
bird.
Due to the kind of disguise you've chosen for yourself, everyone's staring at you because you're kind of show-stopping. So the difficulty class for your sleight of hand check is going to be higher. So roll sleight of hand.
Excellent.
A nat 1.
I deserve that.
Oh my god, Erica, you need to like burn your dice or something. Okay. Tell me how you fail. Tell me how you fail.
Okay. So I'm like, admiring her feathers, and I'm like, getting the body like near where there may be some valuables, a gold pouch perhaps, and does she have a weapon on her or anything?
Yeah, she seems to have a dagger strapped to her right side.
Yeah, so let's, for the sake of argument, pretend that the gold pouch and the dagger are next to each other, and I'm like, I can't see. I'm like on the opposite side, so I'm reaching around, and what I think is a pouch is the dagger, and I like quickly try to yank on it, and it all of a sudden it pulls out, and I've got like the dagger in my hand, and I'm like, and suddenly she thinks I'm attacking her, and I'm like, no, this is yours. I'm so sorry.
What the hell do you think you're? Not only have you taken out the dagger, but you fumbled so bad that you slashed open the pouch. But instead of gold pieces falling onto the ground, it's claws. They appear to be claws of like an animal or a beast or a monster or something. They just clatter like little caltrops onto the ground. They scatter everywhere. And as soon as they scatter, they come to life and they start like moving. They like start like running around like all over. Everyone starts screaming. She goes, "What the hell? What the hell do you think you're playing at? Give it back to me!" And she like grabs her dagger back and she goes, "Damn it! Come back here, my little Sallies! Come back here, salamanders!" And she's like trying to like gather these salamander claws, you're not sure what they are, back, and everyone's like sort of screaming. Like one of them runs up like a lady's skirt and she goes, "Ah!" And it like, like flies down. It's a
and I'll look at everyone who's like probably horrified and be like, yeah. They will let anyone into these parties.
That's how the night goes for you, V. Manaia, why don't I have like a quick scene with Manaia, Dewey, and Oka? Manaia, you come out where Oka and Dewey are sort of sulking maybe a little bit. A little awkward, standing awkwardly off to the side. Are you all outside the house, or are you... Okay, you're outside on the porch, let's say.
Manaia's going to walk up next to them. She's not going to like make direct eye contact, she's also going to look basically out and say, "How are you doing?"
Oh, about as well as one could when you start the day drunk and end it with, whatever this is.
Just fine. I don't like parties.
You're worried about the party?
Yes, obviously I'm worried about whatever's going on.
You're kind of funny, you know that?
Thank you? I'm just anxious about getting on to the next leg of our journey, and hopefully not having the world collapse into oblivion.
So you want to go see the doctor too?
Yes.
And you? Oka gestures to Manaia.
Well, I suppose I don't have a choice now, do I?
Suppose not. That was some good fighting, though. It would be nice to have you on the same team.
Funny how you praise me, the one who flew into the thing's mouth from 20 feet in the air.
You gave me the idea.
Oh, and let's not discount Mr. flying sword over here.
Oh, that
Yeah,
was
what the hell is that?
just something I whipped up. That wasn't,
That's something I whipped up. Instead of the doctors, we should be asking you what's going on.
I have no idea what's going on.
Well, I know this much. I used to live in the Badlands. I could take us through with some ease.
That sounds like a good plan.
Somehow I feel safer with traveling with the two of you. I don't know about the one in there.
Oh,
Uh,
I'm sure she'll tag along.
all of you
Sure,
sort
she's
of
having time
hear,
before life.
as you mentioned, V, all of you sort of hear, the claws! Get the claws! And like screaming from inside. And that seems like a really cute way to end the scene. Let's very quickly, I'll narrate what happens before we take a break. Which is the four of you sort of like wind down for the night. You manage to get the party back to normal with Manaia's help. The claws are gathered up and thrown back into a pouch. The Aarakocra woman stays away from V for the rest of the night. There's a mild petition to eject V from the party that Cathor, due to his gratitude for you, prevents. And then all the nobles decide to head back early. Most of them have brought like their own like bodyguards, and whatnot, so they feel pretty safe about getting back to Somanad, but they're pretty anxious to get back to Somanad and see what's going on in the city, like after the earthquake and everything that's been happening. And the four of you are invited inside for a nightcap in their guest bedroom. The awkward thing is there are only 2 guest bedrooms, and they both only have a single bed in each. So who do you shack up with?
What is this, fan fiction?
Yes,
What
it is.
this?
So who do you shack up with?
Oka has a bedroll, so they'll sleep on the floor.
Does Dewey know what happened with V and the other Aarakocra woman?
I don't think you see. V might have filled you in, but if not, then you probably don't know what happened.
I'm not gonna tell them anything.
Yeah, but Dewey, you do see the other Aarakocra person, just wandering around.
Okay.
So Oka, you're sleeping on the floor. Who's your roommate, Oka? You pick.
I think
Yep.
I'll keep an eye on V.
Great. Oka and V, and Manaia and Dewey. V, you get the bed. Who has the bed, or are you sharing a bed, Manaia and Dewey?
Manaia is going to... She's going to stand against the wall, and sort of nod off, and then eventually kind of sit up against the wall, but let Dewey have the bed.
Sounds good. That's very sweet. And like this, the four of you fall into an uneasy slumber. Let's say your mind roiling with what the hell is happening? Why couldn't the gods be contacted? Very determined to get to the bottom of all of this by seeing this Dr. Oluso person. Yes, V, before we cut to screen.
I was just gonna say, to keep in with V, is that because I only need 4 hours for a long rest, I'm gonna make sure Oka is damn asleep for a few hours, and then I'm gonna fall asleep and wake up early.
Okay, sounds good. Great, so that's...
Oka snores.
Yeah, Oka snores very loud.
That's probably also why I also...
Great. So now we're gonna cut to a BRB screen, but in the middle of the BRB screen, I'm gonna also cut to a fan art reel of everyone who's done fan art of the campaign so far. Thank you so much. We're so humbled and astounded by all the art folks have been making. Yeah, just blown away, and we're very excited to share it with the world. So yeah, we'll be back in 10 minutes. Go take a bio break, tech break, and then we'll be back in 10. Love you guys.
Instead of last, if my father survives me, if I explode, if I go up in smoke, if I go quietly, when I go quiet, give my heart to my mother, she'll know what to do, give my songs to my lover, she'll know what to do, give my bones to my father, my poems to my sister, my love to one another, give it I suppose the soul can go to the children. I suppose the trash can go to the museum. I suppose the dreams can go in the casket. I suppose the blood will go where you ask it. Will go where you ask it. Will spill where you ask it. Will spill where you ask. I'll spill where you ask. I'll spill where you ask. I'll spill. I'll spill. I'll spill. I'll spill. I was once the tree, and I was the paper. I was the hair, and I was the razor. I was the leg, I was the table. I was the cloth, and I was the indigo. And I was the indigo, and I was the indigo. And I was the indigo, and I was the color girl. And I was the color girl, and I was the color girl. And I was the color girl, and I was the color girl. Doom did. It's the blue light when we're out with our friends. It's the blue light asking where the night should end. It's the blue light saying, come over. It's the blue light in my coat on my shoulders. Lying in your room, playing with your hair. Lying to myself, saying that there's nothing there. There's nothing that we share. No reason to care. No way.
Hey everyone, we're back! Hello, hello, hello! Welcome back to the campaign.
Hello.
I hope y'all have been able to grab some snacks, some tea, some what have you. Let's as a cat, some cricket. I know there might have been like some tech issues earlier with like my mic sounding weird. I have like the Twitch running, the stream, like the overlay running. A lot of things are running, so I'm just gonna cross my fingers and pray to the tech gods. But let's jump right back into the session, right where we left off, with our party waking up in the second floor of Fireroot Farm's house. You all wake up to light filtering through the windows. And as you all sort of like groggily like push yourselves up, you can smell what smells to be meat maybe cooking from downstairs. But as each of you sort of glance out the window, there's something about the sky that seems strange. Why don't all of you make a perception check?
Nat 20.
Balls!
Don't forget you have collective inspiration also. Nat 20.
Well,
and-
that would have been good to remember last night, wouldn't it?
Okay, Nat 20. What did the rest of you get?
9 for Dewey.
9 for Dewey. A 10 for Oka.
Clean 19.
Clean 19 for Manaia. So Oka and Dewey, the two of you look out at the sky, and you see just sort of like a kind of dull. It looks duller than usual. Usually the sky here would be like blue sky, maybe like a few clouds. None of that. It's not blue. It's just sort of like a dull gray. Like a dull grayish tan. And as you looked out at your feathers, you would notice for the first time just how much the color of the sky affects how you appear. You also look dull. As do you, Oka. I mean, you're already gray, but you look more colorless and lifeless than you usually do. And Manaia and V, the two of you not only notice this strange new colorless, lifeless sky, but there is no sun. The sun is gone. And you know that the sun is embodied by Galtanger, who is one of the 8 gods. She is the god of sun, field, and open sky. The sun is gone.
Woof.
So as the 4 of you make your way, out of the bed, you put your clothes back on, you go downstairs, and you see that Dalapathi and Kothor have set up a cute little meal for the 4 of you. Some congee, which is like a kind of rice porridge, with some like pickled radish and like some steamed buns with meat in them, and some like dumplings, some xiaolongbao, as well as some like fried egg and tomato dish, and some stir-fried green string beans for breakfast. The 2 of them entreat the 4 of you to eat, and over breakfast, both Dal and Kothor bring up the fact that there's no sun in the sky. And Kothor says, I actually, I stayed up all night. I watched the darkness become lighter and lighter, but Galtanger did not bring the sun. It just got lighter all at once. I've never seen anything like this. Dal says, Happy New Year?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I almost forgot it was Adolin yesterday. And now it's the first day of the first month of the new year.
We are starting it quite in an interesting way.
Interesting is one way to put it.
Yeah, you can say that again.
Yeah.
I think what Kothor and I are going to do is we're probably going to close the farm to visitors for a little while. We need to focus on our safety. Focus on ourselves.
That's smart.
Don't go out without protection.
Oh no, we're definitely
For sure.
gonna be using my usual bodyguard. We gave her Adolin off, I think, which is why I was so easily taken by the stewards.
What do you know about them anyway?
The stewards? Not much more beyond what they had told you. They came to me when I was harvesting, in the north field. I was cleaning off the beets in that little lean-to. They came up to me. They had those 2 dog lizard things, the drakes, I think they called them. And it was that human person and the Kenku boy who came up to me. They were very polite. They said they were a big fan of my birthing work, and they said, they asked for my help to help deliver a difficult birth. And they also asked for my discretion, but they said in exchange I would be privy to never-before-seen organization's inner workings. So, curiosity got the better of me. I can't give up a good story, when it's right there.
I completely empathize with your position.
Thank you.
Although might I recommend this story stay between
Yes,
us.
just the 6 of us. Kothor says, You're not going to tell Lahahana, are you, honey? Dal goes, whoop! I'm gonna go harvest some beets now. And the 4 of you finish up breakfast. What's the game plan here? Y'all are probably, like I said earlier, you have those 2 routes you could take. There's the longer but safer one, and the shorter but slightly more dangerous one. Manaia, you have friends and contacts back in Somanad. So you might want to check in with the Ruffled Tern if you want to, with Captain Lahahana. But the rest of you, what's the play here? Are y'all gonna all go to Somanad with Manaia, or are you gonna go at all, etc.?
I think Oka maybe proposes taking Victoria and Dewey to where the hounds were last stationed in the Badlands. Give the address to Manaia and wait for her there.
Sounds good. So the 3 of
If
you...
that's okay with everyone.
That's totally fine. That's fine with me as the GM. I don't know why I said that. Is that okay with the players?
Yeah, I think V is also gonna have a little heart-to-heart with everyone and be like, look, friends, I know up to this point Look, my name's not Victoria. You all can just call me V. I tell you what,
short for
I'm
Victoria.
It's short for a lot of things, friend. I don't have time to explain.
I see.
That being said, I've got nowhere to go. The world seems to have changed very rapidly. I would rather, go with you all and see where this leads. If there's somebody who knows what's going on, I would like to be one of the first people to know what's going on for my own purposes. However, I require a deposit of 5 of those coins that were given to you last night. And then I will be your best friend. I will promise you I will do nothing of the sort to make your lives miserable.
Yeah, it's up to you, Manaia, if you want to dish out 5 to each. 5 coins to each person, or if you want to hold on to all 20.
How about this? I trust you all, I've fought alongside you all, but that was just one time and just last night, so you'll forgive me if I'm a little bit hesitant to just go on this 40-day adventure with you all on a whim. So here's what I'll say. V, you will get your 5 coins, and whoever else wants them, I think it's fair that we each get 5 coins for whoever wants them. But they will stay with me until I meet you at your Hounds of... What was it?
Mercy. Hounds of Mercy.
Yes, very ironic. I will meet you when I meet you there. I will distribute them as a sort of safety precaution, how you might say.
I don't want any cursed coins. V, if you
I'll
come
take
along
your share.
quietly, you can have my 5 as well.
This sounds like a great idea. I think a deposit on your deposit for me sounds great. I agree to these terms and conditions. So from now on, you have paid for a friend V Noxurza, who's the best friend to have.
We're paying for you?
Great. And with that, Manaia, you take your pouch of coins and you set off to Solmanad. After Oka gives you the address of where the Hounds of Mercy are staying, while Oka, Dewey, and V, the 3 of you head out to Ujad, which is the village where the Hounds of Mercy are currently stationed. Let's start with Manaia. Manaia, the journey back to Solmanad is long, muted due to the sky, and strange. The howling of the night creatures that sort of plagued last night are absent. But in their absence comes a kind of strange silence, an unnatural quiet, where there aren't any, birds chirping, no insects or locusts going, nothing. It's just your footsteps against the hard, parched earth, and your eyes on the horizon to your south. Solmanad, as you know, is a city by the sea, split into 2 halves. The top half is built into the rocky bluffs that overlook the boundary waters, where the majority of residences, taverns, shops, and entertainment venues are located. The bottom half of the city is built along the beach, at the bottom of the cliffs, where a robust harbor commands the trade center of Solmanad and all of northern Talmud in general. There are a few, beachfront residential properties primarily inhabited by poorer folk who hawk their wares to sailors and live in raised shacks by the sea. Manaia, when you re-enter Solmanad, you are greeted by chaos. Toppled buildings, overturned merchant carts, smashed windows and walls, broken debris scattered everywhere. People are sort of picking through the street, calling out random names, nursing wounds, sort of like leaning against devastated buildings. To your left, you see a gnome who's sort of pinned underneath a crumbled building. He's sort of gasping in pain as 4 other people work nearby together to lift the cement block, trapping his small body under the wreckage. And to your right, you see a crying child being desperately comforted by her father as they stand in front of the crumbled skeleton of what used to be their home. And you also see a Goliath woman sort of stumbling through the street, staring wide-eyed, at the sunless sky above her head, ranting and raving out loud to absolutely no one. She's sort of going, The eight have forsaken us! Cry, cry, make your peace with death. That noise was the sound of gods fleeing us on the holiest night of holy nights. Cry, cry, we are forsaken. But, no one is really paying you specifically any attention, Manaia. What do you do?
You're really splitting Manaia into, 8 different directions, huh? Alright, she's gonna go up to the Goliath woman.
Okay.
How tall is this Goliath?
She is 8 feet tall, which is taller than you.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
I expected that. I'm going to go up to her and pretty aggressively grab her hand and get her attention. I say, "Hey!"
Do you
You care about the gods so much?
I care not for the deities that have abandoned us, young lady.
Manaia's going to pull her hand so that they come face to face, 2 inches apart, and say, "Do you care for the people?"
The people. The people. I am one of the people. Do you care for me?
Manaia's going to briskly turn around and forcibly pull this Goliath as much as she can towards this crying child.
Okay. Yes. Cry! Cry! The gods have forsaken you, child. Cry! And the
Manaia's going to whip around and slap her clean across the face.
Ooh, okay.
And say, "Get this child to safety." I was going to say more, but I don't have anything to say.
Okay, sounds good.
So that was a statement. Get this child to safety.
To the Goliath woman?
Yeah.
Okay, alright. That's a strong backhand you have there, young lady. Okay, I'll get this child to safety. Come with me, child, and your father too. The father goes, no.
I thought she was alone. Oh, I'm so sorry.
Oh no, sorry. I should have made it more clear that the child was with her father. It's okay. We can sort of
scratch all that.
Okay,
yeah. Sorry about that.
The father's like, absolutely the fuck not. Okay. As you're confronting the Goliath woman, you hear.
I'm sorry, because Manaia's plan was to get the Goliath woman to get the child who I thought was alone to safety, and then help trap this trapped gnome.
Sounds good.
And so that was my process.
That was your process. Okay.
If the child is with her father,
and the gnome seems to be after, let's say, right as you're confronting the Goliath, you see from the corner of your eye that the gnome is dragged out from underneath the cement. Yeah, and he's being administered first aid.
Okay.
Yeah.
When you give me people to help, Manaia is just boom, boom, boom.
I hear that. And actually, why don't you take inspiration for that? I really like the way you approach the situation. Let's see if I can light up some inspiration for you. There we go. So Manaia, right as you're confronting this Goliath woman, you hear a voice behind you go, "Manaia?" And you turn around and it's Captain Lahahana. This turtle woman. She has her left arm is in a sling. But she looks otherwise uninjured. She's accompanied by Zupa, who is a kobold that you know, kind of like a neurotic, very anxious kobold boy who's also a sailor. He also looks otherwise unharmed, and she's also accompanied by this human man called Babatunde Mahelona, who's also a sailor. He's kind of like a very, you know him as a very similar to Dal, a very exuberant kind of guy. And he has one of his eyes is swollen shut from looks like a scratch or a gash or something, and his right hand is wrapped up, but he otherwise doesn't look like he's bleeding to death or anything. And Lahana says, "Oh, thank Mahu, thank the stars, you're okay!" And she rushes forward and hugs you with her good arm. And Zupa also comes up and hugs you too. Babatunde sort of hangs back but looks happy to see you.
Lahana, Zupa, Babatunde, how are you all? Where are the rest of the crew?
The crew is fine, just a few broken arms and legs, but for the worst of us. But we're okay, no one died. Which is more than we can say for those poor people by the beach. And she just sort of breaks down, and Zupa also looks really sad too. Zupa goes, "Manaia, we were so worried about you. I'm so glad you're okay."
Yes, I'm
Sort of hugs
doing
your thigh.
fine.
Yeah.
I'm so glad to see you all. I'm assuming this glad woman is still yelling. Is there a place that we could talk for just a moment?
Yes, the tavern. Let's go back to the tavern.
It's still standing?
Yes, thankfully it is.
Thank Mahu.
Mahu protected us, I know she did. And Lahahana and Babatunde, who goes, like, sort of winks with his one non-swollen eye at you, Manaia says, I'm glad you're alive and looking as good as ever, Badaya. And Zupa says, he's concussed. And the four of you make your way back to the tavern. As
he
this
has one good hand, and that's all I care about.
As this happens, Oka, Dewey, and V, you're traveling to Ujad. The journey to Ujad takes you 30 minutes. Sort of cupped between parched scrubland and a tract of heavily eroded soil, the town of Ujad is less of a town and more of a collection of shacks, shanties, tents, and other lost folk who are content with being lost. And in a kind of strange twist of fate, right, the lack of buildings and other proper establishments has spared Ujad the kind of structure-induced chaos that's currently rampant in Solmanad. However, that doesn't mean Ujad has been spared completely. Oka, Dewey, and V, when you arrive at this shanty town, you see a mass of people congregated around a central bonfire that's going even though it's day. And just about everyone in the crowd is like drinking or smoking something, but they're all staring at something in the middle and whispering to each other. What do you do?
Can I see any of the hounds?
Make a perception check. Dewey, V?
Aha! There we go. That's an 18.
18, yes. Oka, you see you sort of like get on your tiptoes, let's say, and you sort of peer, and you see what appears to be like the hunched over back of that green-skinned half-orc woman, Mercy. She seems to be in the middle of the crowd. You also see like a few other heads that could belong to the other hounds.
Mm-hmm. I kind of, I turn to Dewey and V this way. And as I muscle through the crowd, I'm gonna take the cigarette out of someone else's mouth and start smoking it.
Sounds good. You pluck the hand-rolled cigarette from a gnome's hand. He goes, "Hey!" But you manage to muscle your way through, and you lead your compatriots to the center of this crowd, where you see Mercy. Like I mentioned before, she's a green-skinned half-orc, leader of the Hounds of Mercy. She's kind of she's muscled, but in a lithe way, and she has an eye patch. I like characters with eye patches. Okay, she has an eye patch on, and she's kneeling in front of and examining some kind of a dead creature. This creature is, or rather was, about the size of maybe like a person, maybe like 5.5 feet tall, and is vaguely person-shaped too, but its entire body is covered not in skin, but in bristling, spiny teeth. And several of these teeth are missing, and in the missing spots you see this gory, exposed gum line. Accompanying Mercy are Yakari and Papu. Oka, you know Yakari as a red dragonborn, kind of a brute. He's sort of like your chief rival in the Hounds. And Papu is a half-elf man, and he's the most skilled healer in your group. And Papu is currently crouched over several like injured people. And you see like large sharp teeth lanced through like stomachs, shoulders, legs, almost exactly the same as the tooth that like went through you, Dewey. But thankfully none of the wounds look fatal, just like really nasty. Yes, Oka.
Can we say Oka wouldn't have left the teeth, especially not if one was lodged in Dewey?
Yeah, we can say you harvested one.
Okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
Oka's gonna wordlessly take out the tooth, and just like crouch right next to Mercy and just start doing their thing. They're gonna like pull out the tooth and like immediately just like with one hand showing it to Mercy, and with the other like just like plunging their fingers into the gaping holes to see like how far the teeth go down. You know.
Okay, yeah. Why don't you roll investigation with advantage because you're a blood hunter? As you do that, Mercy sort of looks up from this like tooth creature as you crouch down next to her, and she goes, "Oka, there you are. Glad to see you're still alive."
You too. I picked up some stragglers.
The bird and the elf.
I have a name.
Looks can be deceiving.
What are your names?
Cardew. Nice to meet you. And I reach out to shake her hand.
She does not take it.
Vida. My name is Vida. Nice to meet you.
Cardew and Vita. Pleasure. This thing attacked in the wee hours of the morning. If you can call it a morning, there's no fucking sun.
There's no fucking stars either, Mercy.
Mercy takes the cigarette from you and takes a drag, and Yakari goes, I hunted it down. Quick little fucker,
Did you?
though. Yeah.
Not fast enough.
Hey! Fast enough? Wait, you were talking about the creature, not me. Okay.
No, I'm talking about you.
Hey, shut up. I'm not happy you're alive or anything. Actually, I am, because it makes my life a little more interesting when I have a worthy rival. Mercy.
Yeah.
What do you make of
looking
this?
for that myself.
Oka, what did you get on your investigation roll?
I got a 16.
Okay, this creature is similar to the other creatures. You've never seen anything like it before, and because of that, they seem to belong to the same, let's say, species?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah? As like the little chicken monsters and the big flesh monster and this tooth monster, they seem to belong to the same, like, they're definitely of the same blood, let's say. And as they sort of like dig around in like the gums, it's interesting, it's all gum. It's like completely made of gum. There's no bone or anything.
Ew.
With like, I'm so sorry. I'll stop describing it. It's just teeth growing out of it. It's nasty and gross. Which is why I put like tooth and gum stuff in the content warning. It's really fucking nasty. Yeah. And Yakari goes, yeah, this thing started just firing teeth out of nowhere when the sun, I guess, the quote-unquote sun started rising. You know, a couple people, as you can see, got injured pretty badly, but we were able to fight off most of them, and I chased after this one. Really slippery little bugger. It's really hard to hit, especially in dim light. Seems to just melt into the shadows.
The ones we fought were like that too.
Huh? The ones you fought? And Mercy looks at you and says, "Tell me more."
Well.
And as you begin, let's cut back to Manaia. Manaia, you make your way back to the tavern. It's called the Autumn Dragon, is the name of this tavern. And as you walk in, you see like this tavern has sort of been set up almost as like a triage camp. You see a lot of people with like wounds, like nursing them, including the rest of the ruffled tern sailors who sort of look up and like all let out like, like they all greet you when you come in. You sort of settle down, like the bartender gets you a drink for free, like on the house, like they're not charging anyone here. And as you sit down, you know, Lahahana sits down next to you too, like sort of like, like holding her like broken arm. She goes, Manaia, what I'm about to tell you of what I saw is very disturbing, so brace yourself. I saw last night, with my own eyes, the ocean move like I had never seen it move before. And Manaia, you know I've seen the ocean in every mood conceivable, but this was terrifying. Huge pillars of water rising up toward the sky, up, so tall and huge, while the stars, Manaia, the stars went out one by one in these straight, perfect lines coming down from north to south. And the kobold goes, north to south! As soon as Dalapathi went out, I couldn't see anything at all, but I could hear those tall, huge pillars of water, tall and wide as the pillars of Rasu in the championship. I swear to Mahu, I could hear these pillars smashing back down into the ocean, and it was like thunder.
The beachfront houses are completely destroyed. I don't know how many people lost their lives or homes. It was so hard to tell in the darkness, and the lamps could only shed so much light. Thank Mahu, we weren't by the ruffled turn when all this happened, but she's gone, Manaia. The ship is gone. It was consumed by that huge swell of water that smashed the harbor when those pillars came down.
I'm so sorry.
It's okay. We'll rebuild. We'll come back stronger than ever, and once someone figures out what's happening, I'm sure we'll be able to make the world normal again.
It's like you said. And Manaia reaches out a hand to grab Lahahana's good hand.
Oh.
And it's like you always say. A ship is only as good as her crew.
You're right. And we've got the best damn crew in all of Andake. And Zupa says, "Are you okay? Is that doll person okay? Oh yes, how is Dalapathi?"
He's... Well... Captain, if we could have a word in private?
Certainly. Zupa, another round of drinks, please. And she sort of gets out of the booth and follows you to a secluded corner of the tavern. The Autumn Dragon.
Captain, we met Doll, and...
Oh no, did he die? Was he killed?
He is alive. He is alive, and he is doing very well.
Okay.
Him and his husband are at their farm, and...
Husband? Never mind.
Well, yes, I can't tell you everything, but what I can tell you is this. Well, first of all, Doll might not be the man you think he is. Most of his stories were lies, but I'll leave you to figure the rest of that out. What's important is this. He gave us a lead on what happened, or potentially figuring out what might have happened.
Well, if anyone would have a lead, it would definitely be Doll. What do you mean he's a liar? You know what? I'll take that up with him myself. Who is this lead? What is this lead?
Let me start from the beginning.
Okay.
And I'm not going to do all of this, but
Sure.
I'm going to tell the whole story.
Okay. And by the end of your story, Lahahana is just sort of like staring at you, like with a very calm face, actually.
Oh, I am going to leave out the whole part about the cult, though, because they did tell me not to. Yeah.
Sure, that's
We
fine.
met a group of people and assisted in a birth,
Great.
and in the process.
Instead of the Copper Stewards who worship sacrilegious gods. Got it. And, okay, Lahahana has a very calm face, and when you finish your story, she takes it in. She says, "Manaia, you should see this Dr. Oluso person. For better or for worse, she seems to be Andake's... I don't know, greatest hope. For whatever reason, even though I've never heard of them. And Manaia, if I may be frank, you are our greatest hope. Truth be told, I always thought the ocean was a little too small for you."
Oh. Captain.
Go.
I'm glad I didn't have to say anything. Will you let Zupa down, slowly, would you?
I will. Fix whatever all of this is, Manaia, and when you're done, come back home. We'll be waiting.
Goodbye, Captain.
Goodbye, Manaia. And Captain Lahahana sees you out of the Autumn Dragon. And by the time you get to Ujad, which is where Oka told you to go, Oka, you've finished telling your tale to Mercy. Do you also leave out the Copper Stewards?
No. I, in fact, get really loud and rauncous about it, and I'm like, these motherfuckers, Mercy. You wouldn't fucking believe the shit that they were trying to pull in that bull, just going for it. Dragon. Are you serious? Dragons!
Dragons are fucking extinct. I would know. We're monster hunters.
They smoked way too many mushrooms, and they fucked everything up for all of us. Now all the gods are gone!
It's true. Papu has to rely on, his practical knowledge of medicine. Sen isn't responding to his prayers. And by the time you get back here, Manaia, the crowd's mostly dispersed, let's say, to like their own little corners of the shantytown, and it's just sort of like the hounds and your party in the middle, attending to the wounds and like looking at this toothed creature. Mercy goes, this must be one of your other friends that you mentioned.
Manaia.
I'm Mercy.
Pleasure.
A pleasure as well. Seems like you've outgrown us, Oka.
You knew it was gonna happen sometime, Mercy.
I just didn't think it would happen so soon, and like this.
Well, nobody thought it was gonna happen like this.
So, it's off to the chasm with the four of you, is it?
I have to at least make sure we all get there safely.
How noble of you. The hounds are going to stay here. There's plenty of new monsters for us to hunt. And where there's monsters, there's coin. And Yukari says, aye, aye. Papu gets up from splinting the last leg, sort of dusts off his bloodied gloves, turns and says, I'm gonna miss you, Oka. What can I say? You were always the least annoying.
Oh, thank you, Papu. I always thought that you were slightly more annoying, but less annoying than everyone else.
Oh, we joke and we kid. And you say your goodbyes to the hounds. And do the four of you set out?
Yep.
Any other business you have to tie up?
Let's see. Kind of, as we're about to leave, Oka pulls something out of their sash, a rolled up scroll, and they're gonna hand it to Mercy.
Okay.
If I don't come back, burn that. And never talk about it with anyone.
Okay. And Mercy takes the scroll. Okay. I want to be mindful of time. It is 5:15 where I am. We could end the session there. Yeah? Yeah, I have like a travel thing planned and for y'all to meet Dr. Elisa, but we can end it there. Yeah. Great. Cool, while we're ahead. Awesome. Well, thanks so much, everyone, for watching this session. I'm so excited for the next one. Again, as a reminder, our next main campaign, Session 3, is going to be on July 25th, Saturday, at 3 p.m. CDT. But coming this Monday, July 13th, at 5 p.m. Central, I'm going to have my first talk in an upcoming series called Professor Chong's Tabletop Workshop. So tune in for that. And let's sign off again with our social media handles very quickly. I am Connie. My pronouns are they, he, and she. I am the GM and executive producer. You can find me at byConnieChong on Twitter or DN Daddy Issues on Twitch or Tumblr. And let's pass it over to C.
Cool. I'm C. I use pronouns like they, them, or z, them. You can find me on Tumblr at pi-sharp.
Great. Let's go down to Max. Yeah.
I'm Max, I go by they, them pronouns. You can find me on Instagram at starchmonger.
Great. Let's go to Erica.
Erica, she, her. You can find me Erica New Girl at Twitch, Tumblr, Twitter, Instagram.
Awesome. And finally, let's go to Devin.
Hi, my name's Devin. I use they, them pronouns. You can't find me anywhere but right here.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Great. Don't forget to join the Discord if you want to stay in touch. And put it in your calendars, folks, for my tabletop workshop. If you want to learn more about Andake, like more of the map and stuff like that. And we will see you on Monday, or we'll see you on Saturday the 25th. Peace out, y'all. Stay safe. Fuck Wizards of the Coast. And we love you. Goodbye.